Welcome back, so happy to see you again. And if you checked out a lot of self-improvement YouTube, you probably come across journaling. Many successful people around the world like to write down for themselves every day, and it's been shown that journaling has a lot of health benefits too. And I've also been a proponent for journaling for many years, but recently I only journal sporadically or not at all, despite feeling better than ever. So is journaling absolutely necessary to do every day, or is it some kind of a phase that you not need after a certain time? And all of that plus my unconventional approach to journaling is what we're going to talk about in today's video. I want to start off by telling you my story and experience with journaling for the last 4 years to kind of illustrate the general idea. So back in 2019, I was in my second year of university and I felt too average for my own good, so I became very interested in productivity and getting better each time. I was also heavily into Pokemon Go at that time, wanted to be very high level there. Then the same year I found David Allen and Getting Things Done, which was a huge thing for me. I remember in October that year when I was in Spain that I woke up around 4:30 a.m. and started walking around outside the hotel playing Pokemon Go while listening and re-listening to certain podcast episodes by David Allen because I was so hooked at that time. Aside from the promise of being productive while being in some sort of a zen-like state, I was told the value of writing things down. It meant carrying around a piece of paper in the pocket or use a note-taking app on your phone and write down whatever I did not want to forget at a specific moment there. So right here you can see a parallel between practicing GTD and journaling. Both of them involved writing down thoughts so I could look at them objectively and realize that my thoughts, the things that I was writing down, was not me. And while journaling in general is more structured when you want to answer particular questions, this was more sporadic. It was like whenever something was top of mind, I wrote it down, but other than that, I did not set any specific time to do some real journaling, whatever that means. So I continued with that practice of spontaneous journaling for the next 2 years, and I felt better. And I realized that I was not a slave to my circumstances. I could achieve what I wanted if I worked hard at it. And actually during the summer of 2021, I was journaling quite intensely every single day so that I could translate what I wrote to another language because I was learning language at the time. And then in the same year in August, I discovered both Tiago Forte's work and the note-taking app Mem.ai, where it was super easy to create new notes and link them together to get some kind of web of notes. And when I realized all the potential I had, I was journaling like crazy. I had a set of questions I wanted to answer every day, and I wrote so much down from whatever online course I was taking at the time. And my knowledge and confidence grew so fast that when it was time to start something entrepreneurial, which I wanted to do for a very long time, I ended up creating my first blog on the internet and started to post there every day. And for about 8 months, I continued to write articles every day and even wrote 3 ebooks as well. But I noticed that the more I was writing elsewhere, could be my articles or my books, I was writing less and less by myself. Either I did not have the time for it, or I had already written down my insights in one of the articles I just published. So these articles became sort of a public journal, where instead of writing only to myself, I write down everything I learned so other people could take part of it too. And these articles ended up being longer and longer, and eventually these videos. And because I'm uploading these every single day now with preparations beforehand, I rarely feel that I need to write more than that. I'm already quite maxed out in terms of how many words I write every day, somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 words for you. So I don't need it for the writing aspect itself, but whenever I have an idea or realization or something terrible has happened to me, I write down what I think, write down my feelings, and currently I do it in this note-taking app Reflect, since there is a new note created every day, so I can simply go there and start type whatever. So now that you heard my story of journaling quite on and off for the past 3.5 years, you might wonder if you should also set aside time to journal every day. And first of all, I still strongly believe that by writing things down, we get the relief, we get the perspective, and we get the perfect mental health and happiness we all want. It's like having a conversation or a free therapy session all by yourself, and the document does not have any other agenda. than being 100% available for you, unless the app crashes. There's an entire best-selling book which is all about the benefits of writing thoughts down, also called cognitive behavioral therapy, so it's quite established by now that it works. But even if we don't have any issues with mental health, we can still use journaling for productivity. One of the hallmarks of the flow state and being totally present is to have no cognitive load, not needing to overload our working memories with things that we have to sort of keep top of mind unless we will forget them and stuff like that. If you've written down our concerns, if you've written down whatever you want to do that day and all the things we don't want to forget, we can be more attentive to the task at hand and see the immediate next step and sort of take it on from there, being in a flow state like immediately almost. But with all the benefits, why am I still somewhat on and off when it comes to journaling? And as I said earlier, my experience is that the more we create, it could be via text, audio, video, music, stuff like that, the more we create that, the less we need to journal because we are publicly journaling, if that makes sense. And I think it's especially applicable if you wonder whether you should journal but do very well in your craft and have no mental health issues. I certainly not believe we need to journal just because of journaling and keep up with practice, and unless we don't journal then everything is going to fall apart. We don't need that kind of superstition. But journaling is more a way to feel better in the very moment. It's more an option, in other words. Like, okay, whenever I feel like I need to journal, then I journal. And it's not an obligation I need to show up every day or everything else is going to not be here. And then there are these other questions of how we should journal, like if we should use physical or digital tools, if we should answer to a daily question and have some kind of ritual from there, whether that is necessary. Personally, I'm on 100% digital since the phone is so much easier to carry around and I'm not harmed by it, as you can see in the video right here. I also don't have any daily questions at the moment, but I don't know if that will change later, so I'll make my reservations for that. But you should always do which option feels best for you. I know many people who really like physical tools, and it's like favorite music. Everyone has their own taste and stuff like that. And so it is with productivity. So finally, should you journal every day? And unless you're creating and writing down so much that you don't necessarily need to, got the journal needs met, I would highly recommend journaling actually. Often it's hard to know how we really feel or what is going on in our lives until we write it down. So if you feel more unhappy than we'd like to, it's 100% free and you can do as long as you want for each time. So almost no downside and all upside, in other words. As always, I'm interested to hear your opinion. Are you someone who journals every day, and how do you feel about the practice? And maybe share some questions you ask yourself every day in order to stay on top of whatever you want to do. And until then, thank you so much for sticking around, and always remember that you're the most amazing human being alive.